Well, Dr. Natasha, Campbell McBride, I am so excited to have you on this segment of the webinar series that we're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm delighted to be here.
So tell me, you are the one that started the GAPS diet. Can you tell me a little bit what gave you the inspiration to put that together, and what was the need?
Well, I'm a mainstream doctor. Unlike any other mainstream doctor who managed to get to the alternative side of medicine, I had a personal problem, a personal tragedy in the family. One of my children got diagnosed with autism at the age of 3, and that threw me into a very steep learning curve. I had to help my precious child, and that resulted in the development of the GAPS nutritional protocol. He has recovered fully. He's an adult, leads a normal life. So he was my first teacher to show me that autism is curable as long as you catch the child young enough and straighten things up. And that's how my clinic evolved, and I started working with lots of autistic children. And then I've discovered that their siblings are not very healthy either. They've got digestive problems, allergies, some other learning disabilities, and that the parents are not healthy either. That the parents very often have digestive issues, chronic fatigue, arthritis, autoimmune illnesses, allergies, skin problems, cystitis, and other problems. And as I started working with the whole family, I realized that all of these problems stem from the same place, from the gut, from the digestive system. Hippocrates, all those thousands of years ago, made a statement that all disease begins in the gut. And now we have no doubt that he was absolutely correct.
And so in your search, because there could have been a lot of different directions that you could go, you know, with your autistic child. I mean, a lot of times you're looking at heavy metals, you're looking at there's so many different components. So how did you figure out that it was the gut that related to what's the biggest issue?
Well, first of all, I was educated in the Soviet Union as a medical doctor. That's where I come from originally. And it was a very different medical education, very different, non-commercial, completely non-commercial. And we learned about gut flora throughout the whole of our years of the medical school. We had probiotics. We had lots of research that has been done in the Soviet Union since the beginning of the Soviet Union into gut flora, because Mechnikov, who discovered the gut flora first, was a Russian. He worked in the Pasteur Institute in Paris, but he was a Russian. And his research was picked up in the Soviet Union right from the beginning while he was still alive. And a huge amount of research was done. My child had serious digestive problems right from the beginning of his life. And I knew that the root cause is there. And I knew that it's gut flora, no doubt, because I already had the basis for all of that. And then, as it happens, life helped me to put pieces together. Different people came to me. I went to different conferences, read the right kind of books, and found that the diet is the most important thing in correcting the gut flora. I already knew it from our training, from my medical training. And now, with all the research that we have, the Western world started researching gut flora really recently, but once they started researching it, the research is piling up very rapidly. And now we know, this is a fact, that human body is a microbial community. There is nothing microbe-free in your body. We have microbes everywhere, in our blood, on all our mucous membranes, in our abdominal cavity, in our lungs, in our heart, in our liver, in the brain, in the eyes, everywhere. There are microbes. This whole community of the microbes called microbiome. But the headquarters of this microbiome is in the digestive system. The majority of these microbes live in the digestive system of the person. And the reason for it is food. Because if you ask any microbiologist, what is the most powerful influence on a microbial community in nature? The answer immediately will be food. You just change food supply to a microbial community in any environment, everything changes in a few hours, literally. Certain species start disappearing, other species proliferate, and the whole microbial community changes. That is why the majority of our microbiome lives in our digestive system, because that is where we place our food. They feed on it, The food adjusts the composition of that microbial community, and then that head ministry of your whole body, of your whole microbial community, communicates that information to every other microbe in the body, because they're in the majority, in the vast majority. There are far more microbes in your body than human cells. Strictly speaking, from a scientific point of view, human body is a microbial community with a few human cells thrown in. And that headquarters in your gut, it's in charge of the whole microbial community. They communicate instantly to everywhere, every little nook and cranny of your body, to every microbe in your body, and the whole microbial community adjusts depending on what you've eaten, for lunch, for breakfast, for dinner.
And so, because they've seen direct correlation between the health of an individual and the diversity of that microbial community. So if you then take things like antibiotics, or you do things that can then be destructive to that biome, you're then reducing the intelligence and the diversity of that microbiome in your body, and that will then directly impact your health.
Absolutely. Since we invented antibiotics, somewhere around the 1940s, we started damaging the microbial community in our bodies and in our environment too. Because in parallel with developing antibiotics that people took from the doctors as pills inside the digestive system or in injections, agriculture started developing agricultural chemicals, most of which are antibiotics in their nature. So today, people not only take antibiotics from the doctors, they eat antibiotics for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you buy your food in a supermarket, everything on the shelves of the supermarket comes from industrial agriculture. Lots of chemicals, and majority of these chemicals are antibiotics in their nature. When you take antibiotics, they kill off a part of your microbial community. No antibiotic in the world can kill everything. It only chooses a particular group of microbes. Every microbial community in nature functions on balance, on harmony. All species should be present in there, every little one, and they all contribute in a certain way, and they all control each other. They don't allow any one of them to get out of control, because every microbe in nature can cause trouble if it's out of balance with the rest of the microbial community. When you take antibiotic, you kill off a bunch of microbes. The balance is gone. The harmony is gone immediately. All the microbes which remain then are not controlled very well, and they get out of control, they proliferate, and from being beneficial to you, they suddenly become pathogenic. They start causing trouble. And that is the basis of every chronic disease in the world. Chronic disease, from allergy to autoimmunity to neurological disorders, endocrine disorders, mental illnesses, physical illnesses, learning disabilities in children and adults, skin problems, digestive problems, anything. Any chronic degenerative condition stems from that. Because let me remind you again, your body is a microbial community. It responds to antibiotics and other chemicals in the environment instantly.
So looking at cancer, for people being diagnosed with cancer, a few components are really important. Obviously, your nutrition becomes really important, what kind of nutrients you feed your cell. Also, your ability to detoxify, becomes really important. Controlling inflammation, because we know cancer is an inflammatory condition. And then also just the immune system, making sure that the immune system is strong and vital. It becomes key, because that is what helps to fight these cancer cells off. So how does the gut, supporting the gut, impact in something like cancer?
What we need to understand that every cancer is a fungal disease. It's a proliferation of fungi in the body. Fungi are a very important part of every microbial community in nature. We are full of them. A healthy person with a healthy microbiome is full of fungi, because fungi grow long micelli, many, many hundreds of meters long. And the width of this micelli, the kind of long protrusions, is about 100 times bigger than the size of a bacterium, for example. So these micelli in nature, in the soil, and in any other natural community, including the human body, create a network of roads and lanes and streets and small roads in your body, in every tissue, in every organ. And along this road network, bacteria build their little villages, their towns, their cities, their homes, and viruses build around bacteria, and then there are protozoa there, and then there are many, many other species of the microbial world. And this fungal network brings water, nutrients to all these villages, takes away the wastes from all of these villages. That's how every microbial community works. That's how it functions. We have researched it very well on the samples of soil, of healthy soil in nature, because the soil under our feet is a microbial community, a very complex and amazing microbial community. So fungi in nature are the master recyclers of any waste. If we human beings contaminate any bit of soil anywhere in nature with industrial waste, what will happen first? First, you kill all the plants with those chemicals. If you pour the canister of something very, very toxic, nothing grows on that patch of soil. So the first thing that grows there are lichen and fungi, varieties of fungi, molds, lichen, and other little fungi. Their purpose is to clean that contaminated piece of soil, because fungi have an amazing ability to neutralize toxins from toxic metals such as mercury, lead, aluminium, beryllium, and what have you, and to any other toxic chemical that human beings create. So they absorb them into their own structure and they make them benign. They may not destroy them completely, but they attach certain things to them which make them harmless. And they hold them inside their own bodies. So these fungi first proliferate and they clean up the soil to a certain degree. And then that soil is able to provide living conditions for the most resilient pioneer plants, such as thistles, nettles, docks, and other things. So these plants start growing first. They add more fungal community and they add more microbial community, and they clean the soil in their own way. And then when the soil is clean enough, other more vulnerable and more finicky plants start growing. And that's how the whole patch of soil recovers in nature. So the more contaminated anything in nature is, the more there is fungal overgrowth. It is a fungal stage of disease. And that is what cancer is. Cancer is a fungus. I have no doubt about it. We have a lot of evidence to that effect in the alternative field amongst the clinicians. So what happens in a tumor? If it is a solid tumor, let's say not systemic, if it is a solid lump somewhere, a bunch of toxins accumulate in that place because we live in a toxic world. We eat things laced with man-made chemicals. We smoke, we drink, we wash ourselves with a plethora of petrochemicals, which all absorb through our skin, our shampoos and makeup and hair dyes and the rest of it. They all absorb through our skin and finish up in our bloodstream. So all of us are contaminated to a certain degree. And while your detoxification system in the body copes with that situation, you're okay, you can function. But when it's not coping anymore very well, then these toxins start accumulating. When they accumulate a lump of toxicity, let's say in the lung or somewhere else in your body, what the body does, it allows fungi to proliferate in that lump of toxicity. It's a rubbish tip. It's a dump, like our dumps outside the cities where we dump our toxins, dump our rubbish. It's a dump. And what the body does, it builds a capsule made out of your own protein around this rubbish tip, so that the immune system can't see it and it doesn't kill the fungus. It allows it to do the work. So then a microbial community grows in that dump, like in any other rubbish tip. That's full of microbes. And not only microbes, there's rats and there's snakes and there's all sorts of other animals that are working there to clean that place up. So first the fungi will grow, and then bacteria will grow, and then viruses will grow, and then lots of other creatures will grow there, and there are even worms in there, and flukes, and protozoa crawling about, and all sorts of. It's a nest. It's a microbial nest, which is dealing with that toxic lump. If the lump is small enough, and if the toxicity stopped coming, if a bunch of it came in and stopped coming, then that microbial community will sort it out. It'll clean that place up once, and the body knows what's going on. Your body is always in charge of that process. it allows this to happen. In fact, it invites its microbial community to do the cleaning job, because it says, I can't do it myself, you do it. I'm delegating this job to you. And once that place is clean and the toxins don't come anymore, then at a certain point, the body will dissolve that protein capsule around that nest and allow the immune system in. The immune system will kill off whatever should be killed off, will clean the whole place up. The macrophages will come in, the microphages will come in, they'll remove the debris, they'll kill the fungus, whatever bacteria, and they'll restore the normal state of the organ. And you don't need to know about this. This is a normal process, and that's how it goes in the human body. The problem is people are exposed to toxicity all the time. It never stops coming. So if it keeps coming and keeps coming and keeps coming, this toxicity, then the fungi become the most dominant part of that lump behind that capsule in your body. And what happens? In the microbial world, there is a free market of genetics. They all throw out genes into the environment and they pick up genes that they like. Microbes constantly, this is called pleomorphism. It's a process that has been researched from the middle of 19th century by the most renowned scientists, starting from Antoine Béchamp and the other one, Enderlein and other wonderful researchers. And this research has been suppressed because it's unprofitable. So what happens with pleomorphism? Microbes can pick up genetics from the environment and they evolve and they change. So what we find in pleomorphism, that there aren't divided groups of microbes, such as this bacterium or that bacterium, or, this is not cast in stone at all, that a fungus can turn into a bacterium can turn into a virus can turn into a bacterium. They all change their genetics, they all evolve that way. And what happens in a tumor? Fungal genetics and viral genetics and bacterial genetics. And to that effect, we have many scientific studies which show that there are viruses inside tumors and there are viral genomes inside the cells of the cancerous tissue, the cancer cells. There are viral genes and bacterial genes and fungal genes. They find there. This exchange of genetics happens. So the cells that your human cells supposed to produce babies, which are exact replica of themselves, genetics of fungus get inserted, or bacterium get inserted, or virus get inserted. So inside the tumor, the human cells are not produced anymore, they are hybrids. They are partially human, partially fungal, partially bacterial, partially viral. That is why these cells are not human anymore. They are mutants, they're aliens, and they don't meet together. They cannot connect with each other the way normal human cells connect with each other. They don't have that ability to connect to each other. They're all individuals. It's individualism in there. It's the same way as it's happening in the bigger human society right now. Individualism is being promoted. It's like what happens in the cancer. So these are hybridized human cells. They're not human anymore. They're partially fungal, partially bacterial, partially whatever. And they don't work anymore. And as they start producing babies, they become less and less human with every division, and more fungal, more and more bacterial, more and more viral. That is why a lot of genetic research has been done into cancer cells, and they find that the genetics are all off, and they don't meet together, and they don't work, these cells, and the natural, healthy human tissues reject them. They don't accept them. And the problem is, bacteria, viruses, and fungi replicate much faster than human cells in nature, in any natural environment. Bacteria can produce trillions of babies within an hour, literally. So the more this cancer cell is less human and more fungal or microbial, the faster it replicates, faster and faster and faster, the quicker and quicker it grows. And if toxins keep coming in, the body can't keep dumping them inside that capsule anymore. They just don't fit anymore. So the capsule gets dissolved by enzymes that are produced by this microbial community, and these mutant cells start disseminating all over the body. These are metastases. Another common way of disseminating them is surgery, because if a surgeon goes in and cuts open that capsule, all of these cells pour into the bloodstream and go all over the body. Surgeons know this. They know that very often surgery is followed by metastasizing of the cancer. That is why they recommend that the person goes on a chemotherapy afterwards, hopefully to catch these mutant cells. So that is my opinion and my view of what cancer is and how it develops.
So it almost sounds to me that, the solution, because obviously to kind of go after the tumor, go after the cancer, then you're just killing these fungi, you're killing these, the biome, so to say, of the tumor, but the body is utilizing that for a specific purpose. So it seems to me that the key is then to clean up the environment around these capsules, and allowing then the fungi and this microbiome, so to say, within the tumor to do its job and to clean that up, while we're then working on cleaning up the rest of the community, so that that capsule can be dissolved and things can, harmony can be restored again.
Absolutely. Cancer is a whole body disease, and the tumor itself is a solution to the problem. It is not the problem, it's the solution to the problem. Unfortunately, in the mainstream, that is not understood. They see the tumor as a problem, they attack the tumor, and they do even worse. They give you radiation, or they give you chemotherapy, which kills the body's ability to replicate cells, to produce new baby cells altogether. And that first and foremost kills your immune system, because your immune system produces babies all the time, and it has to, because it does very important jobs. A lot of immune cells die every minute of your life and get removed. So the immune system has to reproduce all the time. And when you start taking chemotherapy, the first thing you kill is your immune system. And we can't live without the immune system. There is no health without the immune system. So in order to deal with this fungal situation, we have to remove toxicity from the body. We have to stop that toxin coming in first and foremost. We have to analyze the lifestyle of the person. What chemicals are you exposed to on a daily basis? What shampoos you're using? You have to remove all man-made chemicals out of your bathrooms, out of your house. No personal care products, no makeup, no hair dyes, no cleaning chemicals, no dishwasher detergents, no washing powders, none of that. Water, vinegar, bicarbonate of soda. That's it. All the cleaning in the house can be done with that. And there are natural solutions for washing your clothes, and dishes should be washed by hand. Then the dishes will be truly clean, not covered in chemicals. It's what sparkles on your glasses and your cutlery. The chemicals that they covered in. You're eating chemicals, because the dishwasher doesn't rub. It only sprays. So they have to use very powerful chemicals which remain on your dishes to give them this shiny look. So all of that has to be removed. If you work in a profession where you're exposed to toxic chemicals, you have to quit if you want to recover. You have to leave that workplace. Whatever it is that's the source of toxicity, that has to be identified and stopped immediately. Second, we need to restore the detoxification system in the body. What is detoxification system? It's a marvelous system that Mother Nature gave us. In fact, human body is a perfection. It's a perfect creation of nature. It has all the ability to clean itself, repair itself, heal itself, rejuvenate itself, programmed right into your body. Your body does the work. Not the pill, not the doctor, not the diet, not the treatment. It's your own body that has to do the work. So you have to reconnect to your body and to allow it to do the work. And the first system in the body is called detoxification system. It's a cleaner in your body. It keeps you clean. The headquarters of it are in your liver. It's an amazing organ. And then there are departments in every cell of your body. The body can clean out anything. If it cannot clean out a chemical, then it will make it benign. It will attach things to it, which will make it benign, harmless. And then it will tuck it away in some little prison, maybe in your thighs, in the fat tissue, or in your belly, somewhere in the fat tissue, where it will sit for the rest of your life and do you no harm. The body has amazing ways of cleaning toxins out. This detoxification system depends almost 100% on the state of your gut flora, because all the blood that comes from your digestive system comes into several veins which open up into your liver. So all the nutrition that comes from your food and anything toxic coming out of your digestive system hits the liver first. And if that blood is full of toxicity, full of agricultural chemicals, and on top of that, you have abnormal gut flora. And I have to say that the Western population, from my clinical experience, 100% has damaged gut flora. Almost 100% of people. There are maybe very, very few people left. So when the gut flora is abnormal, pathogenic species of microbes proliferate in the digestive system, and they digest food in their own way, producing millions of very poisonous chemicals. At the same time, they damage the integrity of your gut wall, making it porous and leaky. And all these millions of chemicals are absorbed into your blood, into your lymph. And then the blood carries this toxic river right into your liver, and the liver gets blocked up very quickly because it can process only so much toxicity per minute, per hour. A traffic jam builds up in your liver for various chemicals to be processed. The liver just cannot function anymore. And so your detoxification system breaks down. It doesn't function anymore. This is the moment when we see in people who develop chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, myalgic encephalomyelitis, and other conditions with low energy, with fatigue, overriding fatigue. That is the moment when people start developing these conditions, when the detox system is broken, breaks down. Toxins start accumulating in the body in various tissues. And wherever they accumulate to, they contaminate your tissues, and they start inflammatory process, autoimmune process. All sorts of symptoms start developing all over your body, in your nervous system, because different chemicals absorb to different tissues. They have an affinity for different tissues, different organs. For example, a lot of toxic metals are fat soluble. They like storing in fat tissues, in high fat tissues. Your brain is very high fat organ. The rest of your nervous system, your bone marrow is very high fat organ. Your endocrine system, high fat organs. So they get targeted. So these things, these toxic metals accumulate in those tissues. And first they will start inflammation in those organs. So you start getting problems pertaining to those organs. And then when there is too much accumulating, that leads eventually to fungal overgrowth and to cancer.
That's fascinating. And the key is, and obviously, because the liver is very dependent on what's coming from the gut. So the key is to make sure that the nutrients that are entering the gut are as pure as possible. And obviously then things like glyphosates comes into play, which is an antibiotic. It's a chelator, pulls minerals out of food, and it kills pathogens. So it really throws off the gut biome. And then also it will then shift the biome into more kind of pathogenic state, which will then produce these chemicals, the pathogenic, I wouldn't say that the biome then is well, it is bad, but it's just that they're out of balance, and because of that produce chemicals that put stress on the liver, which will impede with your ability to detoxify, which will increase then the likelihood of tumors developing, because then we need more fungus then to start to clean up these sites, and then we create more tumors. I mean, is that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So all diseases begin in the gut, definitely. In order to restore your detoxification system, in order to deal with any cancer and accumulation of toxicity in the body, we need to restore the detox system. In order to restore the detox system, we need to clean up the gut. That is why no matter what chronic illness you have, whether it's cancer or allergy or asthma or eczema or psoriasis or cystitis or autoimmune illness or Guillain-Barré or Hashimoto, mental illness, whatever it is, start with the gut. That is the most important place to clean up, to restore the microbial community in there. And that is what the GAPS nutritional protocol has been designed for, specifically. It's been around now for more than 20 years. We have millions of people following it around the world. My first book that I've written, Gut and Psychology Syndrome, where I first described GAPS, has been translated into 23 languages, and there are more translations coming in. And this protocol is specifically designed to restore the normal balance of microbes in your digestive system and to heal and seal your gut wall. close all those holes in the gut wall. Once the gut flora changes, once that gut flora seals itself, that river of toxicity coming to your liver stops. And the liver has a chance to catch up with that backlog of the work to do, and it starts recovering, and the detox system starts functioning gradually. Doesn't happen overnight. In different people, it takes different amount of time. And once the detox system starts functioning well, you start cleaning. Your body starts cleaning itself. The normal processes in the body of cleansing yourself, of removing all those accumulations of toxicity, those dumps, rubbish dumps that there are with the capsule around. That's a normal process, and though that process will now go normally instead of developing into cancer in the person. And of course, food is key, because remember, every microbial community, the most powerful influence on any microbial community in nature is food. You have to change your diet. And that is what the GAPS nutritional protocol does. The key in it is, the most important part of it is the GAPS diet.
And what are the basic principles of the GAPS diet? You know, I know that, like for instance, we have a GAPS practitioner at our center, and so I know the importance of having somebody guide you through that, because it is a very intricate and you have to do it in very specific stages, and you need to know when to shift between those stages. So it is good to have guidance in this area. But what are some of the basic principles, the different stages of this process?
The basic principles are, there are foods which are easier for human beings to digest, and there are foods which are very difficult for us to digest. There are foods which feed microbes, and there are foods which feed you. And since your microbial community in your gut is abnormal, it's not a good idea to feed them very much, right? It's better to starve them off a little bit while we're feeding you, while we're feeding your gut wall, first and foremost, because all cells and all tissues in the human body renew themselves all the time. Every cell in the human body has a short life. It works very hard. It becomes old, worn out, it dies, gets shed off, removed, and new baby cell is born to replace it. In order to give birth to trillions of baby cells every day, building materials are required. They have to be very specific building materials that we have to provide from food, because where else can these building materials come from? You are made out of what you eat, basically, out of food that you eat. So this is the major, and at the same time, we provide probiotic foods, we provide fermented foods from dairy and vegetables. We ferment a lot of foods in the GAPS nutritional protocol, where the food comes already rich with a balanced microbial community. You consume this microbial community as food, as part of food. And as they come in, they are balanced, they're beneficial, they are benevolent. They will start sweeping all the nasty stuff out and replacing it and restoring the balance, because they bring different energy, they bring different nutrients, they bring different environment into your digestive system. And what we do with the GAPS nutritional protocol, coming back to the gut wall, we build a new gut wall for the person. It happens quite rapidly. The younger the child, the person is, the quicker this process happens. We literally remove the old damaged gut wall and we build new out of quality materials. In the GAPS diet, we find quality food, the best food we can find, preferably organic, and we find the parts of the animals that are the most healing and which provide the concentrated amounts of building materials to build your gut wall properly. And we prepare foods in a certain way. That is why it's intricate and there is a lot to read and understand. And for that, I have two books, which I'm going to show now. The first book, Gut and Psychology Syndrome, was written in 2004. It's been updated. That's where I was largely working with autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, schizophrenia, mental illnesses in people. That is why this book focuses on the brain, on what happens to the brain, and that all diseases in the brain, from learning disabilities to every mental disease, in my opinion, comes from the gut. And this book explains all of this, and it gives a full healing protocol, how to heal yourself. But these toxins from the gut don't just go to the brain. They go all over the body, and wherever they get to, they cause trouble. So the second book came out in 2020, Gut and Physiology Syndrome. It's quite a bit thicker. It's a later book. It's my latest book. And this one focuses on autoimmune illnesses, neurological illnesses, endocrine illnesses, allergies, arthritis, and all the other physical skin problems, all the other physical conditions that people suffer from. And again, the whole protocol is described there in great detail. I can, if we've got time, I can go in a little bit more detail of the diet, but the diet is a huge subject.
I would love to just to get a little bit so people get a taste, a feeling of what it is. I mean, obviously, they need to get the book, and it is good to line themselves with a practitioner in order to be able to take the next steps. But to have kind of a little bit of a feeling of what it looks like, I think that'd be wonderful.
Okay, well, talking about GAPS practitioners, I'll just mention that we have a website called gapstraining.com, where we train people. We have several training courses there, gapstraining.com. If a person is already a medical practitioner or a holistic practitioner, such as a nutritionist or osteopath or naturopath or some other profession, they can become the GAPS practitioner. Then we have GAPS coaches. These are people without any prior training, but people who went through the protocol with their families or themselves and accumulated huge amount of knowledge and recovered. They're very powerful people. So we train them, we give them a qualification, and they work as well. They work very effectively, these people. Then we have a training course for people who would like to follow the protocol themselves. And you can enroll into that course, and you'll be literally guided by the hand, by professionals. All your questions will be answered. As you move through the course, you will implement the diet yourself in your family or for yourself, and make sure that you are successful, that you're doing everything correctly. But majority of people around the world, they just read the books. Many people around the world are not wealthy. They can't afford consultations or what have you. And they just buy the book, they follow the book, they study the book, and they get success, these people. Okay, so now coming to the, and let me mention one more thing. Last year, we have set up a foundation called the GAPS Science Foundation. We are now putting GAPS on a scientific basis. We've already published 3 papers in peer-reviewed journals. So they're already online, these papers on the GAPS nutritional protocol. We have case studies on Tourette and case studies on pandas that have been published, and we're working on more scientific studies. So we're doing that work at GAPS Science Foundation. So coming to the diet, the most difficult things to digest for a human being, for the human digestive system, simply because of its structure and the way it functions, because of its anatomy and physiology. The things that the hardest for human beings to digest are seeds, seeds of plants. All grains are seeds. Beans are seeds, nuts are seeds, all seeds. And on top of that, starch. Not only they're difficult as seeds to digest, on top of them they're starchy. Starch is a very large molecule under the microscope, very difficult to digest for a human being. Most of it is indigestible starch, actually. And starch is a perfect food for pathogenic microbes. Ideal. Depending on what grows in your digestive system, what lives in your digestive system, you will read in all sorts of papers. Starch is good, fiber is good, carbohydrates are wonderful. That's what our mainstream nutrition keeps telling everybody. Eat lots of starch and you'll be fine. It depends on your gut flora. If your gut flora is healthy and balanced, microbes love eating starch. Human beings cannot digest most of it. It becomes food for microbes. If your digestive system is unlikely in the Western world, is populated by a balanced, healthy microbial community, they will feast on that starch, on that fiber, on those carbohydrates, become stronger and happier, and make you healthier and stronger as a result. But in the vast majority of people in the world now, not only in the Western world, their gut flora is damaged. It's dominated by pathogenic species of microbes, which are just as happily will be consuming all that starch and fiber and carbohydrates that you consume, and they will get stronger and they will get bigger, and they will make you very sick in the process. You have mentioned glyphosate. It's the most common, the most ubiquitous agricultural chemical now. It is all over the world, everywhere. Even labeled organic produce in supermarkets has glyphosate in it. It's contaminated by this chemical, and it is an antibiotic. Everybody's eating it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and in between. So that's with the seeds. So these hard to digest things have to be out of the diet for long enough period of time to restore the normal microbial community in your gut. That means all grains, most beans, all starchy vegetables, potato family, potatoes, parsnips, Jerusalem artichokes, yams, and sweet potatoes, and other potatoes. So these things are out of the diet completely, 100%. Nothing processed in the diet. Sugar is one of the most processed substances in the world. Everything containing sugar, any processed food, anything that is in a packet or a tin or packaged in some way, not allowed. We cook everything from scratch at home. You have to cook in order to recover, or somebody has to cook in your family to help you. So we buy food in the state that Mother Nature created it, and we buy certain food. So that is one point. We remove things that are difficult to digest for a human being and that are damaging for the digestive system of a human being. Second point, Mother Nature gave us two groups of foods, animal foods and plants. Animal foods are the meats, fish, eggs, dairy. Plants are grains, beans, vegetables, fruit, nuts, seeds, this sort of things, plant matter. So again, first things first, what we need to understand that plants are very difficult for the human beings to digest, and they do not feed the human beings. They are not feeding foods for us because we cannot digest them. That's the way human digestive system is designed. We're not cows. Cows have a very special digestive system, and other ruminants, which is full of microbes. Only microbes in nature can digest plant matter. That is a scientific fact. And Mother Nature used that scientific fact in designing the digestive system of a cow, or a goat, or giraffe, or deer, or any other ruminant. It gave them several stomachs full of microbes called rumen. The cow doesn't digest the grass herself. It's that microbial community in her 3 stomachs or 4 stomachs that digest the grass for her, breaking it down and feeding her. We human beings don't have a rumen. We have one little stomach that produces hydrochloric acid. And if the acidity is normal, if it's a healthy stomach and produces the right amount of hydrochloric acid, your stomach is pretty much sterile. That acid doesn't allow any microbial community to live there. Only a few microbes are managing to hang about there. And that means that plants are indigestible for the human being, strictly speaking. Remember, scientific fact, the only things in nature that can digest plants are microbes, microbial communities. So stomach is the place where your food digests. The only things that are digestible, truly digestible for a human being are meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. When you take water out of a human body, about 70% by weight of your body is water. The dry weight, what's left, is 50-50 protein and fat, pretty much thereabouts somewhere. When we analyze human protein and human fat in the laboratory, we find that they are almost identical in their biochemical composition with protein and fat that we get from meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. Plants have lots of proteins, lots of fats, but they have a very different biochemical composition, and it's inappropriate for building your fat and your protein, for building the physical structure of the body that you live in. On top of that, they're indigestible. Your digestive system has not been designed to digest them. So the feeding foods, the building foods, the repairing foods, the healing foods for human beings are animal foods. And if you look at the carcass of any animal, what is the bulk, the sort of 80% of the whole weight mass of that carcass? Not fatless, skinless, boneless steak, not at all. It's bones, it's joints, it's fascias, it's ligaments, it's connective tissue, it's capsules that are around every organ, it's ligaments that are hanging every organ inside. It's connective tissue. And that connective tissue is made out of collagen. It's the most ubiquitous protein in the human body, collagen. And collagen is the word. It is the most healing substance in the world, because your body, 90% of it, 80% of it, is made out of connective tissue, most of which is, again, collagen. Collagen is a magnet for toxicity. So whatever toxins get into your body are likely to be attaching to collagen first and foremost and damaging your collagen first and foremost. So you have to eat lots of collagen on a daily basis in order to replenish your collagen stores and restore the very physical structure of the body that you live in. Where do we get this collagen? In the GAPS diet? We make meat stock every day. That is the staple of the GAPS diet. In order to make meat stock, we want joints and bones and offcuts and ligaments and capsules, arteries, veins, nerves, organs, all the bits and pieces that you will not find in a supermarket. So you have to get out of supermarkets. People who want to recover must stop buying their food in supermarkets. Where do you buy food? You go to your local farmer's market, you make a few contacts there, you talk to people, you look them in the eye, you see what kind of person you're talking to. Is this a nice person you can trust? And then ask, can I visit your farm? A person who is a real farmer, organic, natural farmer, has nothing to hide. He'll be very happy for you to come and visit his farm. Find several farms like that and buy a whole lamb. They will butcher it for you, they will cut it for you, and tell them nothing should be discarded, apart from the skin perhaps, you know, the fleece. Everything, you want everything, every little bit, the feet, the spine, everything, all the bits and pieces. So you get the whole carcass, cut into pieces, put into plastic bags for you. All you need is to get second-hand chest freezer for yourself, which you put in your garage, and you've got lamb for a whole year for your family. Then get half a pig, then get quarter of a cow. It's cheaper to buy food that way. And in the morning when you wake up, you don't have to think, oh, where am I going? What am I cooking today? You go to your garage, to your freezer, and pick a piece that will defrost, and you can cook it. When you put a piece like that, a chunk of animal with nothing dissected and nothing removed, all the fascias are there, ligaments, all the collagen, all the connective tissue, the bone is in the middle with all the bone marrow. The joint is there, the muscle is there, you know, everything is there. You put that chunk into a pan, you fill it up with water, you add salt, pepper, and you cook it for about 3 hours, 4 hours. So the tissues become soft and they fall off the bone, and you can bang the bone marrow out of that bone. Absolute medicine for your bone marrow, for your immune system. And the stock, the water that it was in, becomes a meat stock. Absolute medicine for the digestive system, because your digestive system, the gut wall, is largely made out of collagen. So in order to heal and seal it, you have to eat lots and lots. You can't overdose on collagen. So what you do, you use that stock for making soup. You add a few vegetables there, cook for 20 minutes, and then you strip those bones of all the soft tissues, every soft tissue, all the ligaments, all the fascias, everything. Chop them up into bite-sized pieces, return them into that stock with the cooked vegetables, and here your soup. This soup keeps for at least 2 weeks in the fridge, for at least 10 days in the fridge. So you don't have to cook it every day. You just take a portion, warm it up, add some sour cream in it, you've got a meal with meat in it, full of collagen, full of nutrition, full of beautiful, beautiful building materials to restore your damaged tissues in the body. That is the staple of the GAPS diet: the soup, the meat stock, the collagen, collagenous parts. So we don't go for this skinless, boneless steaks at all. We do not encourage that at all. We want all the offcuts. We want the carcass of the animal, and we want the fat. The fat is very, very important.
I just had my soup yesterday for lunch, and it's delicious when you have, you know, these good quality fats and collagen. I mean, become so flavorful, and you can just feel how your whole internal system are just kind of resonating with that food. Yeah, so it's
absolutely. And for cancer community, ketogenic diets have been proposed for quite a long time now. There are many people around the world who have fantastic results with ketogenic diet. It's very easy to make the GAPS diet ketogenic. Very easy.
And that's what we tend to do at our center, is that use the ketogenic principles, but doing it with a GAPS, the GAPS diet, so that you at the same time can then reap the benefit of healing your gut and then boosting the immune system, because the majority of your immune system is aligned along the gut lining. So by then supporting that gut lining, you're then also strengthening your immune system to maximize its activity to be able to patrol the body for cancer cells or control anything that way.
Absolutely. I can talk about the diet for days. I don't think we've got that much time.
And that's a beauty, what you've done. Right, writing the book so people can have that as a resource to be able to understand the principles. And I loved how you kind of gave this overview so that people then can, when they get the book, they already have the feeling of what it is, and then they can put the bits and pieces into that structure. So I appreciate this a lot.
If you heal your gut with the GAPS nutritional protocol, then next step will be your detox system will recover. It'll get off the floor and it'll start working. Once it starts working, you start detoxifying, you start cleansing. And at the same time, you make sure you don't let any more toxins into your body. You clean up your lifestyle, you clean up your home, you clean up your workplace, whatever it is you're doing. You have to make sure that nothing man-made toxic gets into your body. And then the microbial community that is sitting in your gut will change very quickly. It will recover. And remember, it's the headquarters, the majority of the microbial community everywhere else in your body. It will talk to that microbial community in your tumor. It will give them information. It will give them the right signals. It will give them the right instructions. And hopefully that process will go the right way for you. In some situations, it makes sense once the people start the protocol. It makes sense then to work with a holistic center somewhere or some understanding surgeon who can then at a certain point very carefully and very cleanly remove the lump without damaging the capsule, without letting all those larvae of the microbial community inside the tissue to flood into your bloodstream. Very, very carefully remove. That can be helpful. That can be done at a certain point, but many people recover even without that intervention. Eventually the body sorts it out itself. So
then comes the question of biopsy. What are your feelings about biopsy? Because then you are puncturing that capsule.
You are, and that increases your risk of metastasizing as well.
Yeah, great. Well, Dr. Natasha, thank you so much. Thank you for everything that you're doing in the world, people that you're helping, the millions of people you're helping, and thank you so much for this information.
That's a pleasure, and thank you for your work. Thank you for spreading the word and helping people.